Chapter 12. The Line Toward Home. The tunnel was darker than Claire expected, not pitch black, never completely, but wrong in a way that made her skin crawl. Emergency lighting ran along the walls at knee height, spaced far apart, glowing a dull, exhausted red. Some lights were out entirely. Others flickered, as if deciding whether staying on was worth the effort. Red, she realized, wasn't chosen to comfort anyone. It was chosen because it traveled far in smoke and dust, because it didn't blind, because it said the situation is already bad. The Fordham-bound tunnel stretched ahead of them, curving gently out of sight, the rails disappearing into shadow. The third rail hummed faintly, still alive somewhere, still dangerous. Claire stayed well clear of it, pulling Liam close to the maintenance path along the wall. The silence wasn't real, it was layered. Water dripped steadily from somewhere overhead. Metal clicked as the tunnel cooled and shifted. Far off, something heavy moved, slow, irregular, and not human. And threaded through it all was a sound she hadn't noticed at first because it was so familiar, scratching. Liam noticed it too. "Mom," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "Do you hear that?" "Yes," she said, "don't panic." She didn't know what it was yet, but she knew panic would worsen it. They moved slowly, their shoes crunching softly over gravel and debris. The red lights cast long shadows that bent and stretched, making the tunnel feel narrower than it was. Every few steps, Claire stopped and listened, counting breaths the way she'd taught herself years ago. In, out, listen, repeat. The scratching grew louder, then it changed. It multiplied. A sound like dry leaves being dragged across concrete rolled toward them, fast and chaotic. Claire's stomach dropped. "Stop," she whispered, pulling Liam back against the wall. The sound hit them all at once. Rats, hundreds of them. They poured out of side passages, drainage gaps, and cable conduits, every place humans pretended didn't exist. A living tide of brown and gray bodies surged down the tunnel, claws clicking against concrete, tails slapping wetly against the ground. They weren't attacking. They were running. Liam gasped and pressed himself into Claire, his face buried against her side. "Mom, I know," she said quickly, wrapping an arm around his shoulders. "They won't hurt us. Stay still." The rats streamed past them, their eyes wild, bodies colliding with each other in their desperation to flee. Some brushed against Claire's boots. One ran across her foot, light as a thrown glove. She fought the urge to recoil, to scream. Animals don't run like this without reason. Something big was coming. Something that was hunted by scent, by pressure, by sound. Something that didn't belong underground and hated being confined. The rats vanished around the curve ahead, leaving the tunnel suddenly emptier and quieter, but charged in a way that made Claire's teeth ache. Liam peeked up at her. His face was pale under the grime. Why were they running? She didn't sugarcoat it. Because something scared them, she said. And animals like rats are excellent at knowing when to leave. He swallowed hard. "Is it coming this way?" "I don't know," she said honestly, "but we're not staying here." They moved again, faster now, not running but not cautious either. The maintenance path narrowed where cables had fallen loose from the wall. Claire lifted Liam over a low obstruction, then followed, wincing as pain flared in her hip. The red lights ahead grew brighter, then dimmer again, marking their progress in slow, pulsing intervals. "Mom," Liam whispered after a while. "Why are the lights red?" She hesitated, then answered with the truth he could handle. "So people can still see if there's smoke," she said, "and so emergency crews know the power isn't normal. Is anyone coming?" The question landed heavier than he intended. "Yes," she said, because she had to believe it. "They're trying." They reached a service alcove where a maintenance ladder disappeared upward into darkness. A sign above it read, "Fordham RD 0.7 mi." Claire exhaled slowly. "We're still on the right line," she murmured. They didn't stop. Stopping felt dangerous now. The tunnel behind them carried too many unknowns, and the tunnel ahead, at least it was a familiar direction, if not a physical one. Another sound drifted toward them. Not footsteps, not breathing. A low, resonant thump that traveled through the rails and into the soles of Claire's boots. She froze. Liam felt it too. What was that? Claire took a moment to close her eyes. Something large was moving above them, on the surface maybe, or in a service corridor parallel to the tunnel. The vibration was irregular, heavy enough to carry through concrete but spaced far apart. A bear, she thought grimly. Not chasing, just moving. The zoo animals weren't coordinated, they weren't monsters. They were terrified, displaced, overstimulated creatures reacting to a city that made no sense to them. That didn't make them less dangerous. It made them unpredictable. They continued forward, every sense stretched tight. The tunnel sloped slightly upward now, and the smell changed, less oil, more damp concrete and rot. Somewhere ahead, water pooled ankle deep. Claire tested it with her boot before stepping in. Cold, standing water, no visible movement. They crossed slowly, Liam clinging to her hand, shivering as water soaked into his sneakers. "I'm cold," he whispered. "I know," she said. "Keep moving." Another rat bolted past them, alone this time, frantic, slipping and scrambling before vanishing behind them. Claire didn't like that. Whatever had scared the main group hadn't passed yet. The red lights flickered hard, then stabilized. Far ahead, something scraped against the wall, metal against fur, not aggressive. Accidental. Claire pulled Liam into another alcove just as a shape moved through the dimness ahead, too far to see clearly but unmistakable in outline. Striped. Low to the ground, a tiger. It didn't see them. It moved cautiously, head low, shoulders rolling with controlled power, tail twitching in irritation. The tunnel confined it, compressed its instincts, and made every sound echo back at it wrong. The tiger paused, its ears flattening as it scented the air. Claire held her breath. Liam's fingers dug into her arm. Then the tiger turned, not toward them, but toward another tunnel junction, and slipped into darkness, claws clicking softly on concrete. Gone. They didn't move for a full minute, then another. Finally, Liam whispered, "Was that?" "Yes," Claire said quietly. "Are we going to die?" The question wasn't dramatic, it was tired. Claire knelt in front of him, forcing him to meet her eyes in the red glow. "Listen to me. Animals don't hunt like this, not in places like this. They're trying to get away just like we are." He nodded slowly, like the rats. Exactly like the rats. They waited until the tunnel settled again, then resumed their slow, careful progress toward Fordham. Behind them, something roared, distant, frustrated, shaking dust loose from the ceiling. Ahead of them, the tunnel bent again, hiding whatever waited next. Claire squeezed Liam's hand. Home was still a long way off, but they were moving, and for now, movement was survival.